on all the other ones. We're here. We're live. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another week of the good life. Wednesday nights now, our new night. We're here giving you the thoughtful conversations around health, wealth, love, and happiness, all the stuff that comprises the life that eventually you want to live or that you're currently living, depending on who's listening to us. But we're here to give you some of those tips, some of those nuggets, just some thoughtful conversation around these things. So what's up, boys? I got Stu, got Kobi here with me. What's up, gentlemen?
Hey. Dude, I'm just happy to be here, man. I was telling you guys earlier. No masque?
No masque.
Any translation? What's
Oh.
Send me a translation.
No masque.
Oh. Is it like that in Cali now?
Oh, no. It is for me.
Oh, man. Florida just helped us out big time with that. I'm sure you guys heard. But
Yo, Florida winning. I didn't hear that, actually. What happened in Florida?
Yeah.
Last week, I believe, Governor DeSantis decided that we no longer had to abide by COVID regulations, basically allowing all corporations, private, public, whatever, within the state to operate under their own choices. So dude, it's a big deal down here. We're celebrating because now everybody gets to make a choice, which is so important to everybody here in Florida. People call us crazy. We just think we should do what we want.
Yeah, I haven't heard that.
But I feel like y'all have been doing what you want. Like, I feel like Florida was the place. Like
Florida, we could do
Atlanta.
Florida, Atlanta, Texas as well.
Yeah,
we could do what we want within this box, and now our box is like this much bigger. So
wow, yeah. Dude, I don't know why my phone keeps going to sleep even though I'm on live, but God forbid. Anyway, how is the entire state of Florida not dead?
Great question. Great question. We were going to go into the entrepreneurial athlete, but are we going to pop this bubble right now? Is this the topic that we're considering?
Not this week, guys. Not this week. This is not the week to pop that bubble. We're trying to build a community, not break it down yet, right? We got to build the community. No, I'm joking.
That is certainly a hot button issue. Well, what we were thinking about, and it is kind of related to this whole thing because of health and choices, etc., is the concept of what is commonly known as, and Chris brought this up, the corporate athlete, the entrepreneurial athlete, basically the connection between you functioning physically well and consequently how that extends into your career, life, business, etc. I know, Kobi being the cut the noise health guy has a lot of passion about this. He's been a big inspiration to both, I think, me and Chris on some things, and we love this topic. So, gentlemen, where do we want to start with this?
I'll jump in just to give kind of context because, off camera we were having this conversation.
True.
Kind of powwowing a bit, but that term corporate athlete is something that I had talked to people about before. Because as an actual athlete, meaning you play a physical sport, basketball, football, softball, field hockey, whatever that sport is, swimming, right? Whatever. You actually train and you think about training your body to be in peak shape, right? Peak state in order to run that race or, right, get out on the field and do what you need to do. But oftentimes when we start to come into business, specifically becoming an entrepreneur, starting a business venture, even for successful employees, right? Climbing the corporate ladder, getting to that place. I think it really is more for the entrepreneur, but I'm not going to exclude them. It really has to be about you taking care of all of yourself, right? And when you get into business for yourself and when you're doing your thing as an entrepreneur, it's just as important. If you were that basketball star or football star or other star, it's just as important for you to train your body for business, right? To have peak energy, to make sure that I'm sometimes in 17-hour days. A lot of times people don't understand that, like, when you don't work a job, you often work more than if you did have that job. So where your 8-hour day, your 9 to 5, your 9 to 6, it might turn into 6 to 8, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. It might turn into your day. Do you have the energy? Do you have the stamina? Are you in enough physical shape in order to be able to perform for all of those hours every day, 6 days or 7 days a week? That takes training. That takes actual, like, I'm focused on my mind. I'm focused on my body. I'm focused on putting the right fuels in and doing the right things so that I can make it through these days. Otherwise, I'll be tired, right? Brain fog, not at my peak ability level in order to perform in business. And so I really think this kind of correlation between our physical health, preparing our body like an athlete, and being successful in business and doing well in our entrepreneurial ventures, I think they go hand in hand. So that's kind of how I was thinking about it.
Yeah, Chris, I think that's a really good point. Since you've hit that point, I'll maybe attack it from a different angle. And that I believe it's in a lot of people kind of compartmentalize these things, right? This is gym time, this is work time, this is this time, this is that time. But the more I learn, the more I train, the more I coach, the more I realize that how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? So really the training is simply, or the training of the body that you're talking about is simply a platform or arena, if you will, to train the same skills that you utilize everywhere else, right? The skill of dedication, the skill of planning, the skill of setting goals and achieving them and setting more goals, the skill of consistency, the skill, like those skills. And not only that, but I actually think, we've overemphasized the mind. I think we've overemphasized thinking to the detriment of the body and gut, right? Your body, the connection between those, the body, mind, body, and spirit is not just like something we say, right? It's actually very critical in how we perform, how we experience life, and how we perceive things around us. So it maybe experience life again, but it's pretty critical. If you read the Body Keeps the Score, you've read, like, when you look at it, I think over time what's happened is we've elevated quote unquote thinkers, right, over everyone else, when in fact, if you continue to look throughout history, there was no separation, right? If we go to the days of Socrates, the days of Aristotle, and quite frankly, let's go back to Africa, because truthfully, that's where they got all that stuff from. If we want to keep it all the way 100, right? Hippocrates, father of Western medicine, got all of that stuff from my folks, my brothers and sisters. So I'll just leave that for another day. But there has to be a combination of focus on all three levels for individuals to be effective. Now, and let me pause there because I'll probably riff from that for a while.
I personally could not agree more with everything you just said. In particular, the overemphasis of the mind, because I used to rely so heavily on my mind alone, and it got me really far. I got great grades, like it got me to the right school, it got me into a career, but very much, as you said, to the detriment of everything else. My posture, my mind muscle connection, my whole everything was so out of whack until I started taking care of it so much more. In the last couple of years, it changed everything. I have more energy. And people always thought I had a bunch of energy. Well, now it's like some next level shit. So like more energy, more focus, like every single movement and thing in my day, I don't have my body fighting against what I'm trying to do because it is able to keep up to the task at hand. And it also has allowed me to truly understand what it means to not just speak from your head, but also speak from your chest, your gut, and just the whole package, to give you multiple perspectives and tools in the arsenal.
Man, I have to emphasize that you can't just drop a golden nugget like that and just let it sit down, man.
It's an alley-oop. That's what it is.
Yeah, let me go ahead and go. Let me roll up this thing real quick, man, because that's so awesome right there. Speaking from, and you could say in terms of like, you know, I think probably on the surface level it sounds like speaking from like thinking or figuring things out from, but also just, you know, just on a basic level, what do singers say all the time? You sing from the gut,
diaphragm, right? Or the
yeah.
gut, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's even deeper than that, right? When you feel that thing, like, ooh, Whitney, where you pulling that from?
That's soul
Right,
right there.
right. That's what they're talking about. And the more, again, the more I train, the more I learn, the more I talk to others that train and train at a really high level, the more I see, like, man, the importance of the gut has been heavily underemphasized. And not just that, man, like, but thinking from, but also this idea, I want to revisit this idea of like, really, when you have a hard, tough decision to make, right? What do the wise folks tell you?
Trust your gut.
Oh, see that, I think that's so key that it keeps coming up over and over and over and over and over and over again. That's why I have slowly morphed my coaching towards, first and foremost, we've got to address your gut. First and foremost, right off the bat, we have to address the gut. Second, we have to address your breathing, because the connection between all of those things, mind, body, and spirit, is breath. It's not a coincidence, or it's not random that it's the breath of life, right? You mold, right? If you're Christian, or if you know anything biblically in terms of God molded, but it wasn't done until what? The breath of life came in. And I think that's so key that we don't ignore these deep truths that we see across the board. All right. So the connection of the spirit to the body is the breath. And when I forget that often. I was having a chat with my guy Air Doobie, what's up? And you know, he reminded me of this. He was like, I was telling him about, you know, how things have been kind of turbulent, rough recently, and da 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 da. He's like, yeah, have you been your daily practices, like, if you know? He's like, have you been paying attention to your breathing? And I was like, you know what? Even I, in times like that, forgot. Not just forgot, I dropped that practice. And as I returned back to paying attention to forgetting everything else, cutting all the noise and coming back to one thing, which is paying attention to my breath, it's like night and day. It's night and day. Now I'm more present with folks, right? Leads me to be more present with folks. It leads me to pay more attention to my posture, because you can't have breath without posture. Leads me to allow my gut to work better, right? So I can actually pay attention to that. So I think it's so critical right there.
I think you're talking about some real foundational things. Could be like, you're talking about some things that probably go over a lot of people's head, but hence why we're having this conversation, right? On the good.
Help me break it down, man.
That's it. We just want you to understand a lot of these things. And at the end of the day, you have to have some form of foundation to get back to kind of your level of, I don't want to call it comfort, but like your level of, you know, how you operate. You know, most times, and that was a great example that you said, Kobi, is like, you know, if my week has been turbulent, or right, my month has been kind of up and down, I haven't felt the same, and there's been a lot going on, what do you get back to, right? Like, how do you get back to a form of like, okay, I understand this is where I need to be. This is kind of like that homeostasis, right? Like that that place that I'm supposed to be, and then I start to build off of that. And you're bringing it back to health, right? You're bringing it back to your gut. You're bringing it back to breathing, right? You're bringing it back to some of the basics of taking care of our body, of taking care of this machine, right? How we started this whole conversation with, the corporate athlete, the business athlete, right? This is your machine. Like this is the only thing you have that will produce wealth for you, that will be in all of these relationships, that will get a chance to see your great grandchildren or whatever the case is. It's just this. So at some point you have to get back to that place where it's just like, okay, if things are going crazy, how do I understand how to get back to my even level, my just kind of starting point, and start to build there? And obviously from what you're saying, it's back to breath, back to gut, back to some of the basics, right? But for people that don't know these things, like how do they get started? Is it just a matter of like they got to figure this out? Is this just trial and error type of thing? But how do we get started? Stu, I saw you get fired up about that, man.
I love that question because it's different for every single person out there. But I think, first of all, trial and error to everything. Yes. I was on a conversation with somebody earlier, and they didn't necessarily believe in the concept of chakras. And I was like, look, I think the foundational advice you receive, I know. Bear with me. Some of the fundamental advice you receive from people is to see somebody who has or is doing or is whatever that you're looking to move towards, and see what they do. Try it with an open mind. And to me, that's where trial and error comes in big here. So for a lot of people that may come from more of like a scientific or atheist background, such as myself, who originally think a lot of the stuff that we have even talked about here, even the stuff that I now stand behind, as bullshit or as woo-woo, and it's like, oh, some crazy yogi somewhere came up with that. Like, there is some serious meaning to what we are talking about here. All three of us come from very different backgrounds, and we agree that health has more than just what health class taught you level of impact. So that's my little side rant. I would love to hear Kobi's answer, but I think what I recommend to everybody who's coming from like a super headspace, anxiety, overthinking type perspective, consider meditation and breath work as your first step. And I'm curious what Kobi has to say too.
Yeah, that's I think all of those answers are well, Stu, you're the one to answer. Chris, you posed the question. So I agree with that, Stu. Quite frankly, I think my answer has changed over time. And as I stand here right now, always reserving the right to change my mind, of course.
Of course, trial and error.
Yeah, as I sit right now, truthfully, my answer is get some help, get a coach, right? Why do I say that? Because you're right, it is different for everybody, right? And you can do a ton of reading, you can do a ton of stuff, and I can direct you to a ton of reading, but why not talk to somebody that's literally been doing this for however long, has seen examples of it, at least to get you started, right? At least to get you going, at least to get you started, at least to like point you in the right direction. Like we can definitely point in the right direction, but like you said, I don't like the concept of even somebody not or completely dismissing an entire like 203 like how many ever years of like what are we talking about here? We're talking about the oldest forms of medicine. To completely say, oh, that's just nonsense is just so ignorant that I didn't even consider that. I didn't even think about that, on that people exist like that. Because so I didn't even, I appreciate you bringing that up, because I was just like, wait, what? You're just gonna straight up just disregard an entire and I think this speaks, I'm gonna come out and say it, man, this is a Western thing, straight up. Right? I hardly ever meet and I don't know, whatever line of demarcation you want to create, Western, Eastern, ancient, not whatever line you want to trade. I think we all kind of know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you can always hit me up at Cut the Noise. I got you. But it's like how it's my grandfather taught me, or my grandmother taught me, there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. So the science that what I call Westerners are so gung ho about sharding science. Yeah. All it is a new language to explain old concepts. That's all it is. It's a new language to explain old concepts. Now, it's so interesting to go, well, what about this disease and this disease and this disease? Well, guess why those diseases didn't exist? Because the catalysts for those things were not there. We weren't spending that much time in front of technology. We weren't sleeping in rooms full of technology and radiation. We weren't doing those things. So guess what? Those things didn't come up. Right? So we get new things over time, and we feel as if like that is like some new knowledge that has been bestowed. But guess where a lot of that stuff comes from? It comes from scientists going out to study people who are actually still living like we used to. Right? It comes from us going into blue zones and going into Taramaros and going into Himalayas and going into Africa and the Amazons and whatever, and studying these plants that our ancestors already knew this stuff. They were already on it. So, and we take the plant and then we extract it. We extract the stuff and we say, oh, this is new. It's never been done before, ladies and gentlemen. It is cocaine. Well, guess what? Guess what? That causes new problems.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it causes new problems. But where do you start? I truly do believe it's get a coach. Like get somebody that knows what they're doing, that's done it for a long time, and can at least listen to your context, where you're coming from, what's going on, and say, you know what? I think the best place for you to start is right here. Because I even hesitate to point someone towards meditation, because meditation is advanced form, right? Like where it comes from was not just anybody can go practice meditation, right? There is steps to getting to the point where you are ready physically to practice those things, right? Yoga, meditation, it was you trained up to that. But right now, just anybody gets up, closes their eye for 10 minutes and says they're meditating. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But we have to know that there's a deeper meaning. There's a deeper connection. If you close your eyes, I know so many people that close their eyes for 10 minutes and say, God, meditation is so hard, da, 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 and then they stop.
They don't know what they're doing. Yeah.
Right. So I really think we've like extracted the bits and pieces. I think I said this last time as well. This is what we do in this part of the world. We extract and try to take the best. And then we end up with white powder and we snort it and we have a whole lot of fun and we think, oh, this is great. And then we have other problems and we think, well, where did these problems come from? And then it just keeps going. It's like cutting off the head of a snake and you get 2 or 5 more.
Yep.
Right. So where do you start? Symptoms, yeah. Get a coach. 2 places to start: breath and gut. I mean, I think everybody can start from breath and gut.
Go ahead, Stu.
I yield the rest of my time to Chris.
I mean, it was good. Chris, go ahead.
No, that was it, man. Like that, you know, that's why we have you here, Kobi, right? Like it's to let us know all the things that maybe we don't understand. I think you posed that perfectly, right? Like just getting a coach. So just so we all know, and everyone that's listening, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, everybody that's listening, like first off, like getting a coach in any area that you feel deficient is going to be smart. Just understand that. Seeking professionals in areas that you need help is just going to be something that is just incredibly important across the board. Doesn't matter. Could be talking about health, talking about money, could be talking about our life choices, and could be spirituality. It could be anything. If you find someone to help guide you down that path, it's going to make things a ton easier, better for you. So that's just recommendation off top, right? Everything after that, just understanding that, like, most likely if you're, you know, pushing something away or you're like, oh, that's a bunch of BS, like it's probably because you're pretty closed-minded about things, right? Like there are certain things I don't believe in, or meaning like I just don't believe or don't practice that, but I never pushed away the information. I took in the information, I processed it, and I said, oh, that's not what I believe. or that's not going to work, right? Like, that's just kind of how I do it.
That's not for me.
Yeah, it's not for me. That's it. Just not for me. That keeps you open-minded. So when you hear things that do get your brain to go, huh, then you start going down that path, leads to more knowledge. You apply that knowledge, your life changes. Seems like a pretty simple formula, but a lot of times people reject the information. They reject the knowledge. They reject the conversation that we're having right now, even though it's the thing that could change their life.
Yeah, and I think what's super interesting. Oh, sorry. What's super interesting to me is I know so many people that are still closed-minded, and I'm like, why? If I'll try and break it down for those of you listening that maybe this applies to, or maybe you know somebody in your network that this applies to. If someone is closed-minded, that means that whenever they decided on a belief, every experience since then does not help them further refine that belief. They've closed it. It doesn't matter. So they could have inherited a belief from their parents, from their political party, from whatever at a certain age. And if they're closed-minded and unwilling to accept the fact that there are other people surviving on this planet that have differing viewpoints, and no one has all of the right answers. We all have our best estimates based on everything we're looking into. If you are basically saying that you're holding on to that one thing that you learned and you're standing your ground, every single experience after age like 12, if it's from your parents, or like 18, if it's from your political party, you're saying that every single life experience that you have around you is not going to influence your decision. You're like resigning yourself to failure. You are giving yourself a limit if you do not keep yourself open-minded. You don't have to believe everything. That's crazy. But you can at least look at it non-biased, compare the pros and cons of what it is, and then to bring it all full circle, try and extract, but in a positive way, things that you take away from that. Like, for the love of God, people, please be open-minded. Chris, thank you for bringing that up.
It's huge, man.
I'm done preaching.
Go ahead, Kobi.
I think it's so key, man. You hit it on the head because, and I rack my brain. I'm thinking why, and maybe the why doesn't really even matter. But what I come back to is fear, right? It's fear that, like, shoot, what if I'm wrong? Shoot, what if I've been doing this way for so long and now I have to change it, right? What if there isn't one way to do things, right? What if I have been steered in a particular direction by my context, right? Or the information I'm able to take in, or the stuff that I consume, which is why it's so important. You know, I think, and I always reference this, but growing up in the church, I think one of the key things that was always put out there is like, you know, watch what you're consuming. But then I think that, you know, I truly think believers sometimes take it to a place where it's like, what are you doing? But you know,
what do you mean by that?
Oh, okay. Thank you. I always skip because I'm there, but so, you know, being in the youth group, for example, it was always like, oh, only listen to Christian music and only do this and only, like, basically watch what you're consuming, right? I think the interpretation of that, like, you can interpret it however you want, but in the work that I do, I've broken down for you guys before. It really comes down to movement. It really comes down to consumption, and what are you doing with your time? Movement. How are you spending your time? Right. And I think in looking at that, my understanding of that has developed in that I think there's so much truth in guarding what it is you're consuming: food, water, information, words, like air, everything that's coming in is going to have an impact on you. So guarding what's coming in is critical, right? And it's not that you dismiss, but you can observe, but not take, That's what meditation really is, being able to observe what's happening, be the seer of what's happening, but you're not necessarily taking everything. All right. So yeah, and now let me relate it back to what we were actually talking about, which is, the corporate athlete. I would like to maybe take another turn here in that I think there's something to be said for living life like a professional athlete, right? So how you keeping the main thing, right? If you were in the NFL, that's your main thing, right? Regardless of how heavy you're partying, you got to show up for practice. You got to show up for this. Keeping the main thing. And I love how athletes, when you interview them after games, for example, like champions have a particular mindset. Not too low, not too high. All right. I think we talked about this the other, not too low, not too high, but we stay consistent. Oh, we're really out here. We work every day. We expect to do well. That's like one of my favorite things to mimic. We expect to do well, but when we don't do well, we go back to the drawing board. All that stuff matters for a corporate athlete as well, because, well, I wouldn't say corporate athlete, but corporate debt slave. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Terms. Yeah. Yep. But living life as a professional athlete, I think there's a lot to learn from that, and probably one of my favorite things about watching sports.
Mine too, actually. Like, outside of the competitive nature of sports, and I don't even watch sports that much, but the reason why I'm such a sports-minded person, athlete, because I love the competition. But one of you said this already at the earlier part of this, right? How we do one thing is how we do everything.
Yeah, this could be.
Right? Could be. You said it, right? How we do one thing is how we do everything. That's that athlete mind, right? Like, that's that, like, okay, like, how I work out is, right? How I hit the gym is how I practice. How I practice is how I play, right? How my off season goes is how my the beginning of the season will go, right? Like, it all flows. Like, how you do one thing is how you do everything. If you tie that in to the consumption side too, think of the athlete. Think of what they have to force themselves to consume and not consume. Right? When you're in the middle of that season, like, there's certain things you can't consume. There's certain foods you're not going to consume because it's not going to give you the energy you need. It's not going to be, right? It's not going to give you, what you need to be in peak playing position or performance, right? And you start evaluating a lot of those things, right? I played college basketball. A lot of my teammates, probably including myself, we had like game day before rituals. Right? There's certain things that we could do or couldn't do the day before a game because we needed to get ready for the game, right? Do you think of your life that way? Do you think of your business life that way? Are there things?
I hope the answer is yes.
I hope the answer,
those categories.
I hope it's yes too. But for most, Stu, you probably know it's not, right? Hence why we have to have this conversation of those of you that want to get to the good life. You want to have, exponential growth and prosperity in all of these areas: health, wealth, love, happiness, mindset, things, like all of it. You want those things. You have to start to treat your life as such. What are you consuming? What are you not consuming? What sacrifices are you making? How you do one thing is how you do everything. Disciplines that you have in your life, what you choose to put in your mouth, how you choose to move your body, what business activities you choose to do that day, how you choose to prioritize your time in your business, right? All these things go hand in hand. That's why we're having this conversation. I've seen heavy set people, overweight people, unhealthy people make a bunch of money, but not for a long period of time, right? Not for a long period of time. They'll get there. I've seen them get there, and they either change their health or they lose their money. I've seen it happen, right? It's just what happens. They get a bunch of money, and then they're like, I need to work out. And then all of a sudden you see them lose 70 pounds or something crazy because they had the money, they had the time, they realized, all right, this is really important. People that don't make those changes, they can't stay healthy. They typically lose their money.
Yep. And I think
go for it.
Yeah. Sorry. I want to rebound on that. A lot of times people have this assumption. We talked about
man gets paid. Sorry, how to do it, bro.
Oh man.
My apologies. You want me to let you think?
Okay. No, I got it. So the rebound is, you mentioned in there that, some of these individuals get a lot of money and they decide like, bam, I'm going to work out now. They have the resources for it. One thing I also want to emphasize, and I know you feel this way, but some people may think that it takes a lot of money to take care of your health. Bullshit. We've talked about this before in one of our previous episodes. Could be really like broke it down. We could probably even like do like a bigger breakdown to really like bust the myth. But long story short, it is not expensive to take care of your health, people. And like, if let's say you're super conventional and it's a classic gym. Everybody's on a different wavelength about what types of exercise and where to go. But I'm just gonna use this example real quick because I think this relates to a lot of people that are on the cusp of really diving into what health actually means to them. Actual gym membership at the most of an LA Fitness, no commitment, $40 a month. If you don't lock in for a long time. If you lock in for a long time, it's a higher fee, but it's a lower monthly payment. $40 a month. And if you stop eating out at a lot of different just crap restaurants, there's some nice restaurants that serve quality food out there, but you got to pay attention to what's in it. But if you want to like make stuff at home versus going out, your budget is going to be so much bigger for whatever else you want to do with your money. So just wanted to throw that in there real quick.
I'll tell you real quick, just because again, privilege of lifting up the hood under people's financial life for almost a decade now, right? Like 8-9 years. Eating out, dining out is probably one of the biggest variable expenses for people in their life, right? And when I have to have the conversation, because most people know, right? Most people know, you kind of know your spending habits, you know where you're spending too much. I always say, well, first off, just awareness, how much is too much, right? Like, what's the number? I know you might think it's a lot, but like, how much is the number? And then it's not about, and this is a basic budgeting tip for everyone, right? If you don't have to go down to zero, right? Like, again, for people that diet and they're like, I'm just going to cut out everything. And then 5 days later, they go binge the whole fridge, right? Because they tried to cut everything out and it didn't work that way because their habits were telling them something different. Same thing with your money, right? Once you understand what that number is, once you understand, hey, it's about $500 a month that I spend dining out. It's not about going to zero. It's about going to 300. You just found $200 extra. You put that into a food budget of cooking food or right, cooking at home or whatever. That $200 will go a very long way for you to be eating proper versus you just saying like, well, it's quicker for me to get that or whatever the case is. Just figure out what the number is and then reduce it a bit and move that to your vegetable, fruit, whatever else that you're going to start purchasing now. So it's not like there's some huge jump in your expenses, in your food budget, right? But I see that a bunch, guys. I see that food thing happen a bunch, and you're right, Stu. Like, it's not more expensive to really eat the right. You just have to prioritize some different things when you go grocery shopping.
Yeah, stop thinking dollar menu. Anyways, I'll stop. I could go into this all day. Kobi, what you got? Well, long story short, like so many people think, okay, what's cheap? Dollar menu McDonald's. Okay, that's a very low cost for right now. How long is that going to give you energy for? How long are you going to feel like that afterward? And what are the medical bills if you eat McDonald's the rest of your life?
But again, people don't think of it that way. Like, people never think about, until they're presented the information, that McDonald's meal is just their next meal, right? That's all it is. It's my next meal, right? Like, this is what I had time for. Mm-hmm. No other consequences, no other repercussions, no other thoughts on it. That's it. And so I think breaking that down to get to like, how are people deciding their decisions, right? Like, how do you make those decisions every day? Like, what's your basis? It comes probably from this lack of education on food, right? And health and things like that. But I just don't think people spend the time, and myself too, right? Like, I don't want to stand up on a soapbox and be like, oh, that's you guys, right? Like, I was there. I'm not there, right? Like, specifically McDonald's. I haven't eaten McDonald's in over 10 years. Like, not a fry, not a Big Mac, like nothing. I just don't believe in, after seeing Super Size Me and seeing that burger just like sit there and not grow mold, I'm like, yeah, that's clearly not going to go in my body, right? When I found out that Cheetos are one molecule away from styrofoam, right? Cheetos are one molecule away from styrofoam. Think of what you put in your body, right? Like that's when I was aware of those things, I was like, yeah, never, I'm not doing that again. It was just that quick. So is it an awareness thing? Do you think people don't care that Big Mac will, right? Like not go down in their system for X amount of days or whatever? Like, I don't know. Kobi, tell me your thoughts, man.
Yeah, I think it's critical you guys bring up is that what is the true cost? That's what we're really talking about, right? What is the true cost? And it's immediate. That's the world we live in. It's immediate, like instant gratification, and that might be at the heart of what we're talking about. Because and that's why I spend so much time trying to unlearn and relearn, right? Because that's what it really is. That's what it really is. When you start to make those connections, when you start to see how deep it is, when you start to see and then you start to connect not only to the health piece, but to the money piece and to the who benefits piece and to the why they would do
Follow
that,
the money.
right? You got to follow, first and foremost, follow the money to understand and then cut the noise and focus. That's what I say. Follow the money to understand and then cut the noise and focus. Go ahead, Chris. What was that?
No, I was just gonna say, have we gotten the hashtag follow the money merch yet? Is that coming anytime soon, brother?
We do have a design ready.
Okay.
If you actually, truthfully, if you are interested, the design is ready. So if anybody's interested, actually hit me up, and that would encourage me to pull the trigger.
No, we're gonna make this happen, bro. Like I've told you this offline, but like we'll say it online. Like that is the key. Follow the money. Like that saying, if you actually allow that to guide some of your like questioning, it'll actually take you to the right places. Right? If you actually
it might be the best tool.
It might be.
It might be the best tool because our health as it stands right now, it's if you spend any amount of time really looking at it, it's not really about health. Obtaining great health is cheap. It's a lot cheaper actually, right? Because guess what you need? The 7 doctors of nature. And guess what? That don't cost that much.
They're found in nature.
That don't cost that much, right? No, only crazy people talk about vitamin D. Well, every time you go into the doctor, or if you have a good doctor, they're probably going to talk about it, right? What are you eating? What are you doing this? A good doctor will ask you all of those questions before they order an MRI test. They'll ask you all those questions before they do additional tests to see what's going on. And if your doctor isn't, after, yeah. If your doctor isn't doing that and going straight to what Stu said and giving you the pill, and I've had so many people that's, now they know what I'm all about. So they hit me up, be like, yo, this craziest thing. I went to my doctor. I told him, somebody hit me up the other day. It was like, I went to my doctor. I told him what was going on with me. And they were like, oh, sounds like X. Try this. Whoa, but doc, no other questions? Like, you don't want to know what's going down? You don't want to know that I've been eating styrofoam for 3 days? You don't want to know that? No? You don't want to know?
It's one molecule different, okay?
Right. Like, you don't want to know any of that. You just go straight here. And right then and there, you got to follow the money. You got to follow the money. How does that doctor truly get paid?
Yeah.
How does that doctor truly get paid? Your dentist. How does your dentist truly get paid? How do these people truly put money in their pocket? See, I don't get any money from or health coaches. I don't have no deals with no prescription drug companies. That would be like me as a coach getting signed by Pfizer, right? I'm coming in, right? I'm gonna be slinging Pfizer like I got babies. My mother needs some new shoes. You know what I'm saying? Wife out here knocking. What's up, right? It's human nature, right? And I'm not, and I think a lot of people jump to the like, oh, you think everybody's bad? No, but I think it's human nature. I absolutely think it's human nature. And if you put
Sure.
me in a certain context, I might make the same decisions. I'm not saying I'm immune to it, but when you have that understanding, you can then translate that to everything else that's going on and be like, you know what, maybe you're not terrible people, but like, you know, you prescribe this and then you make a little bit more off of it. Like, all right, that's fine. Right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all of it is bad. I'm just saying, like, if you understand that the 7 doctors of nature is actually what does it, and that no healing actually comes from any prescriptions, period.
Follow the money.
Go ahead.
Follow the money. That's it.
Yeah, I'd like to expand on a lot of what you just went into, Kobi, because you know, a lot of individuals that may be tuning into this haven't given it this level of thought yet. So I want to give a couple of examples that could probably take you from like what your current life decisions are and thoughts to some of the stuff Kobi was saying about follow the money, and Chris as well. So in business, for anybody that's watching this or gonna watch this, from construction to whatever, in business, one of the first things you consider when going into a business arrangement with somebody else is, how are each of us going to make our money? We do it all the time. Recently I had an opportunity where a sales guy said, hey, you know what, I'm going to do this for you, and the only thing I want is commission, because I want both of us to get value at the same time. I'm like, you know what, I really like where you're coming from with that. I've had other people that present things to me where it's just a massive investment and things happen and like just not much comes from it. It's just one of the risks of the game. You have to figure that out. But no matter what, you can really decipher a lot in business on how somebody makes their money. Just follow it. You do it as a contractor, or you do it in like some type of business ownership when you're working with somebody else. Why wouldn't you do it in the things that you believe in, the things that you're consuming, the things that society says this is how it is? Well, okay, real quick, could I see, you know, what percentage of money you're getting for this pill by you prescribing it to me, or whatever? Like there are little things you do. Ask questions. Like if somebody gets offended that you're asking questions on how they make their money, it's kind of a red flag. To me, it's always been a red flag. It's like, dude, you don't want to tell me how you're making money on this thing that you want me to sign? How the hell am I supposed to trust you? So if we do that in business, why can't you do it in your personal beliefs? And I think something else I want to point out about the open mind thing that Chris brought up earlier is, if you're out there and you're thinking that being open-minded is some like weak, sensitive, like woo-woo thing, I like to ask you this. If your current results and beliefs aren't working for you, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. Consider being open-minded if what you're doing isn't working. I'm out.
There it is. There it is. Drop that mic, dude. He's out of there.
Come back. We're not done.
Okay.
No, I think it's critical. And if you're going to do that in business, where is it more important for you to do that than in your health? You know, restructure that sentence, however, right? Your health is more important, okay? I met a whole lot of people with a whole lot of money. A whole lot of people with a whole lot of money. And when they have health problems, they are the most scared. Oh my gosh. They'll toss half their pie out to a good doctor to get what they need, right? Right. And I think that's really, really interesting, because that's where we get the Queen of Four, Dr. Africa, Dr. Sebi, right? What do they end up doing? They take high level clients. They take celebrity clients, because these celebrities go around and they go to these other doctors so often, and they're like, whoa, like nothing is working. And then they turn to alternative medicine. I say alternative medicine. Let me explain, because I appreciate you guys always, slowing me down so we can explain the little bits and pieces. What we call alternative medicine now was the main medicine. For basically take 1910 all the way back. That was the main medicine. Right now, you ask yourself, well, of course, yeah, because we got something better. We got science. It's so much better, and all these pills going up. Yeah, it's so much better. No, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. What happened was a bunch of rich folks, right, specifically one who I will not name because I want to keep the good life real positive right now. And you can trace this. You can literally Google this. Literally hijacked the entire system and flipped it around. Where what we have now became main medicine and quote unquote alternative medicine, or basically the key to like the top 7 causes of death that are not accidental, as in like you didn't get hit by a car, you didn't fall off a cliff or something, but the top 7, you could probably keep going, are all related to lifestyle.
Like
they
the
got
natural
nothing to do with
occurrences type
pills.
stuff?
Got it? What's that?
You mean like all the natural occurrences type deaths? Like
I wouldn't call them natural. I would say things like non-accidental.
Okay.
Right. So
Like,
you didn't get
like
hit by
heart
a car.
attack, like heart attacks, like heart disease type of thing. Like
Correct.
That's why you wouldn't call them natural. I got you.
Correct.
I'm with you.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay,
With
cool.
me. I appreciate you asking though, because again, I appreciate you slowing me down. It's a lot of information we're trying to get out there to folks. But guys, basically the main point you got to understand here is, as a corporate athlete, right? It matters, right? What you know, just because you're trying to make that money so bad doesn't give you, it's not okay then to eat 5 donuts while sitting at your desk doing this and hunched over and all this stuff, right? And if you are doing that, consider that part of your budget, right, should be care outside of a white coat's office. See a massage therapist, see a trigger point lady, go see a nutritionist, grab yourself a coach, get yourself a trainer, right? Get yourself put your team together just like you would for anything else. And you know what? A lot of that stuff is now being covered in corporate athletes' pay. You can negotiate that stuff, right? You can go in and say, hey, what do you guys have for this? You can actually, and Chris, maybe you can speak a little bit more to this, but you can set parts of your budget to this, right? To actually taking care of the machinery that makes you all that money. And guess what? A lot of times it's a lot cheaper, not just in the short run, but absolutely in the long run. It's so much cheaper to do that. So I would highly encourage all corporate athletes to really look into something like that.
Absolutely. And I'll just piggyback on that one point, and then Stu, I'll let you kind of wrap it up, man. To that budgeting point about spending money where the most important places, your priorities, right? Spending money for your priorities. I think it was Brian Tracy. Said that 3% of your income should go back into your own personal growth and personal development. So that's from like books, audio, seminars, webinars. 3% of your income, you've got to invest it back into you for your own personal growth. I would add to that another 3% into your physical health, right? Like take that same budget, and instead of just growing your mind and getting around the right people, let's put that into, like you just said, could be like, what are we doing for self-care? What are we doing for a massage therapist or someone that's going to allow our bodies to be in the place that they need to be? Again, we've been making these parallels with corporate athlete, business athlete, entrepreneurial athlete, whatever we want to call it, and actual athletes. Remember, LeBron James has spent upwards of $1.5 million a year on his body, on his health, right? Now, again, comparison to his income, that might be about 3%. Right? You know what I mean? Like, that might not be, like, it might sound like a lot for us, but like, it's LeBron we're talking about. That might not be a ton, but in proportion, are we doing the same thing, right? You make $100,000 a year. Are you taking $3,000 every year and putting it towards your personal growth, a webinar, a elite trip to get around people to mastermind? Can you take another $3,000 a year and put that into your body, paying a massage therapist, getting into certain classes, getting a coach, that's where you should be spending and prioritizing your money, the things that are important to you to keep you going, especially if you're going to view yourself as a corporate athlete, business athlete type of person. So
Yeah, that's big. That's big. I appreciate you putting specific thoughts to that. And real quick, Stu, before you bring it on home for us, um, I if anybody's in the position to actually start thinking about that, that's probably my favorite type of individual to work with, right? In building their team, I consider myself the coach. If you think of a football team, you the quarterback. I'm sitting on the sidelines paying attention to everything that's going on, and I'm telling you, hey, you might want to go see an acupuncturist for this. In fact, I got you. Let me review a few of them and send you some good ones, right? Or send me the ones you see and let me look at the background and see what's going on there, right? Or hey, I really think you should go see a massage therapist, specifically not just relaxation, but one that will work on myofascial release, right? Or I really think you should go see energy healer for this. So or breath. So because for me, a lot of this stuff is like we try to say be specific, but I'm finding that being a generalist in the sense of like understanding how all these things connect actually provides a lot more value and allows the white coats to or those above them to not lie to you about what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the white coats. And I think just to bring this on home, we started this conversation talking about, corporate athlete, entrepreneurial athlete, and how important it is for you to understand and take care of your body. So that way you have the energy and the clarity and the confidence, all of it. There's so many more things that I could list on that list to just be who you want to be and do what you want to do. So we've all kind of taken a couple different ways of like our belief systems and like what you should be thinking about. And we're going to hop over to Clubhouse momentarily. So check us out on there. And we're going to go into more detail. You guys can jump on there to talk to us about, you can ask us specific questions. You can learn a little bit more about perhaps how we take care of ourselves. So that way you can take some of the stuff that we're talking about and try it out for yourself to do the whole trial and error thing. So thank you, everybody. Fellas, any other comments as we wrap up here?
Bring questions. Love questions on Clubhouse. Bring some questions. It's the most fun for all of us.
Absolutely. It definitely is. And, we appreciate all you guys checking in again, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram. We appreciate you guys because we want to have this conversation and continue to have this dialogue. Hopefully it continues to add value to you. And that's why we want you to jump over to Clubhouse, get your specific questions answered. Right now, we're just ranting and kind of talking about the things that we know are important and that come from our mind, but we want to hear from you, right? We want to engage with you. We want you to get your questions answered, or if there's things that we've said that have just struck something, come over to Clubhouse. Let's talk about it. Otherwise, every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, we're back going live. So until next week, guys, we're signing off for the good life. Take care. Enjoy your week. We'll see you over on Clubhouse.
Throw up the X. See you guys.